with a 20th century curriculum taught in a 19th century institution. So that is the story everywhere of every course, whether it is engineering, whether it is management, whether it is technology, whether it is social science, whatever subject you take, our curriculum has been designed in the 20th century. And the same thing we are teaching to the new age learners who require, as I said earlier, different skills. And the institutional framework is of even older age. Many institutions are century old. The governance structure, you say, the management structure, you say, all are even still older. So there is a lot of incompatibility between the structural necessities, between the skill necessities, and between the way we conduct our higher educational system. That is why this needs to be changed. This is the situation which we are in. And because of this reason, NEP was passed. And if you read the NEP document, it mentions about the value-based education system. And basically, it derives the values from the Indian philosophy. The 5 core universal values like truth, righteous conduct, peace, love, and non-violence, which are translated as Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa, etc. They are representing the 5 domains of human personality, like intellectual, physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. That means education should be holistic, providing all these to the learners, not merely what our syllabus says. This is what is the main purpose of new education policy. And if you look at the second point, it says that these values represent 5 major objectives of education: knowledge, skills, balance, vision, and identity. So we give knowledge. Knowledge is merely not enough. We should also give skills. Skill is also not enough. Skill should lead to practice of those skills, development, adding value to the society, adding value to the economy, adding value to the lives of the people. That means education should be not only income earning but also value generating. That is what is the basis of new education policy. And we know in the university and colleges we concentrate on knowledge creation, knowledge dissemination, and as well as knowledge application. But somewhere not all these are equally pursued in an equal measure. There is some inconsistency in pursuing of these particular objectives. Therefore, in order to make that, education leads to fulfilling lives, fulfilling in the sense that the person should be capable of earning what he requires for livelihood, and he should be contribute to the social development also. So in order to promote economic development and promote human development, good education is required. So NEP starts at this particular point, and it also says that with the changing landscape, with the changing structures everywhere, the purpose is not only learning, but also to make the student know how to learn itself. Learn how to learn is the question, not only to learn. And education must move towards less content. So we are simply dumping content into the students' heads, but we are not ensuring how much he learns, how much he imbibes, how much he can practice, etc. So NEP moves away from that, and it says that education should move towards less content, more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems. So critical thinking, problem solving has to be the approach. How to be creative, how to be multidisciplinary, how to innovate, adapt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. That means we should not keep on learning the same syllabus. So just to give an example from my discipline, economics, Indian economy. So if you look at the Indian economy syllabus, what was there in 1950s is also taught even today. It is that not much much has changed. So we are not. It means that we are not adapted. We're not changed to circumstances. So we need to do that. And not only that, the pedagogy is how we deliver the goods. It should be more experiential. We should not confine to classroom teaching, chat and talk method of teaching. It should be experiential, experimental approach should be followed. It should be holistic, not in singular subjects like psychology, economics, political science, sociology, botany, statistics, etc. All of these should come together to make the student know what he should learn. It should be integrated, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, learner centered, discussion based, flexible, and enjoyable. So students should enjoy the learning, should involve in discussions, should innovate, should inquire, should start asking questions. That is the thing. But now asking questions is not allowed in many of the classrooms as far as I know. And the new education policy also says that the curriculum must include all the kalas. You know, in India, traditionally, we speak of 64 ಕಲೆಗಳು, 64 arts. So arts include everything, your science, technology, machine learning, everything it includes. So it has to be a more all-rounded kind of education, more useful kind of education, instilling many skills that are required for successful living. And lastly, it says education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful and fulfilling employment. So all these, you know, huge sounding words are there, but these are what should be the goals of any educational system. Okay, and the education policy 2020 is based on 8 key principles, and these I have shown here. So first one is respect for diversity and local context to be reflected in all curriculum, pedagogy, and policy. Now the syllabus is prepared somewhere, UGC framework is given. Based on that, your university BOS frames the syllabus and it simply gives it to you, and you go by that particular framework. The local requirement, the local examples, the local case studies are, and at many times they are not included. Even there may be a person locally available who may be more knowing about local business, but he is not involved either in curriculum framing or in terms of delivering of that particular thing. So that is the first point. Second is equity and inclusion to become the cornerstones of all educational decisions. So if education is going to transform the society, transform the individuals, then it should reach everyone, every single individual of every caste, every creed, every region, and every gender also, male, female. So it should reach everyone. It should be equitable and inclusive in approach. Then community participation in education is another important hallmark, because a lot of investment is needed. Not only investment, but the content is to be derived from the community. For this purpose, community participation, philanthropic involvement is what is sought for in the new education policy. And the fourth and most important one is use of technology in teaching and learning and removing all language barriers. Unfortunately, we used to, when I was a student, we used to, a person who was writing in Kannada medium was looked down upon. But now we have majority of the students writing in Kannada medium at the postgraduate level. Now language is one of the major barriers as to why students do not come to higher education. Now that language barrier is being broken in the new education policy. It says, so national education policy, and it says that students can learn in their own language, in their preferred languages. That is what it says. And the fifth one is emphasize conceptual understanding, learning for exams with no rote learnings. So students should understand the concepts, not that he will pass an examination, he will take a higher percentage of marks, but conceptual understanding is what is to be focused. Then sixth one is the unique capabilities of the students have to be identified, have to be recognized, and they have to be tapped. They have to be trained according to their capabilities, their interests, their preferences. That means the learning, the teaching or education should be learner centric rather than what is decided by BOAS, UGC, or the university, etc. Okay, seventh one is the learner should be capable of developing critical thinking and creativity to boost logical decision making and innovation. That's what I already said. And last but not the least is sustain continuous review built on sustained research and regular assessment by educational experts. The whole system should be continuously reviewed, monitored by educational experts, not by some bureaucrats sitting in UGC, AICTE, and such other agencies. So the review and monitoring should be done by educational experts. So these are the 8 key principles of the national education policy. Based on this, the objectives are proposed. I'm not going to read all these objectives. I will share the presentation with the organizers. You may later on take them, or you can request to me, and if you leave your email ID in the chat box, I will share the presentation to all of you. Okay, I'll not read these things.
Hello, sir. Sorry for the disturbance. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಓದೋರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ತಮ್ಮ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ. ನೀವು ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಿಮ್ದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಇರಲಿ, ಓದೋರಿಗೆ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ.
Okay. So since it is a request of one of the participants, and because the videos would be distracting, the other participants are requested to switch off their videos. You can come up when we come for discussion. Okay, thank you. So I will not read all these things. We will just move ahead. But the only thing is I will focus on this again, which is a repetition of what I have already said, but this is worth repeating. That is why I am just reading this. So what are the learner objectives as proposed in the National Education Policy? First one, to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded and creative individuals. I have explained this. Then secondly, to study one or more specialized areas of interest at a deep level, and also develop character, ethical and constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, spirit of service. So I have again explained this. One thing is, now the student has the option of studying one or more specialization. That is the change which you have to note. Then third one is to create a range of disciplines, including sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, languages, as well as professional, technical and vocational subjects. Let me tell you, NEP aims at setting up multidisciplinary institutions. Unlike the unidisciplinary institutions, now what we know, for example, we have only arts college, we have only science college, we have only commerce college, we have only law university, we have only women's university, only Kannada. No, henceforth, no higher educational institution will be a unidisciplinary institution. It will be a multidisciplinary institution which will offer as many subjects, as many courses to the students as possible across the categories: sciences, social sciences, technology, then performing arts, etc., languages also. So all would be there, so that student will have a range of choices to choose from based on his interest. That is the third objective. Fourth one is to prepare students for more meaningful and satisfying lives and work roles and enable economic independence. I already told that. And to develop holistic individuals by incorporating an identified set of skills and values at each stage of learning from preschool to higher education. Now again, let me spend a minute or two on this. Now so far what happened, up to 12th, the education was integrated. The syllabus frame was integrated thanks to NCERT. So what the student learned at lower level was not repeated at the +1 or +2 level. But what happened in case of higher education is, if you look at our own BA and MSc level, there is a lot of repetition. What students learned at BA level was again repeated at the MA level. So there was no advancement of a particular kind. So in a way, there was no integration. There was no integration. Students did not learn the modern modern developments in a more detailed manner. Now this is going to change right from preschool level. Let me say from nursery level till the completion of his education, he will not repeat what he had learned earlier. So there will be a continuity and there will be an integration of learning atmosphere. So this is what is another important change. Now these are the basic cornerstones which I have mentioned earlier. Again, I'm not going to explain all those things, but I will read it for your benefit because maybe the slide is not visible. The first one is rationalized institutional architecture for higher education. The institutional architecture of higher education is going to be rationalized. For instance, henceforth they say there will be 3 types of institutions, especially universities. One is research intensive university, teaching intensive universities, and affiliating universities. So these will be the 3 types of institution, and accordingly one has to develop. Even for colleges also, there will be large colleges, or they say higher education institute. It doesn't say college, it's a higher education institution. So each higher education institution will grow into such a size where it will have minimum of 3,000 students, minimum of 3,000 enrollments. That means, and such institutions, because of the scale, it will have its own advantage, because it can run a number of courses, it can manage the resources well, etc. Now, how they are going to do that, only time will have to tell. Whether, what about the smaller colleges? Will they be closed down, or will they be affiliated to a cluster college? So that still it is in the discussion. We'll have to wait for few more days to come. So secondly, that's what I said, multidisciplinary holistic education at the undergraduate level. Then multidisciplinary education and research universities will be set up. Maybe they say for each district, one Meru will be set up, which will be very large and which will be taking care of all requirements of the students. Then merging of UGC, AICTE by a single higher education regulator, that is being contemplated. There will be no multiple regulators. There will be only one regulator called as Higher Education Commission of India, HECI. Then as far as undergraduate education is concerned, now it is merged with PG education. Now there will be no differentiation between UC and PG. So UC will be of 4 years. The 4th year would be making the learner eligible to get a master's program. And if he writes a research project, if he writes a research dissertation, even he can also get a PhD. That is what is the situation. Then a national research foundation is to be will be set up for providing competitive, peer-reviewed research grants. It will be available to all the individuals who apply if the proposal is genuine, if the proposal is worth, and if the proposal is going to deliver some noted results. Then phasing out of the system of affiliated colleges over a period of 15 years through a system of graded autonomy. Now, affiliation is one of the most worst barrier as far as college education is concerned, because you're not free to start your courses, you're not free to increase enrollment, you're not free to change your pedagogy, change your assessment pattern. Everything you have to follow what the university says. Now that is going to change. The colleges will be given autonomy. Of course, immediately it will not be done. There will be what is called as graded autonomy in the period of 15 years. So each institution will be autonomous. Each teacher will be autonomous. So autonomy would be built into the system for taking up the education. Then, as I mentioned, 4 years multidisciplinary bachelor's program with preferred options. That is, whatever option the student wants, he can definitely go in for that. Then universities to be named not on the basis of ownership, but on the quality of education. So henceforth, what happens is universities will not be named as Karnataka University, Coimbatore University, Mysore University, etc. The names will change, and the names will be based on their performance. For example, institution of excellence, that institution of reputation, like that. Some other names will be given rather than this particular kind of names. And one of the overarching objective of NEP is to raise the gross enrollment ratio to 50% by 2035. Now, if you in the last this month, in the beginning, the Aish data was released, and the Aish data says the current GER is 27%, and by 2035 it needs to be increased to 50%. And for this purpose, a lot of expansionary measures are suggested by the NEP. Then inclusion, broad-based, multidisciplinary, holistic undergraduate education with flexible curricula. That means, as I said, you can introduce any course you want. The student can take up any course the student wants. So that kind of flexibility is there. And not only unidisciplinary, but multidisciplinary. Last and very important component is there at the bottom corner, right-hand corner. That is creation of an academic bank of credits and facilitating transfer of credit. You know, all of us use credit cards. And when we use the credit cards, then what are called as points earned. These points can be accumulated and can be redeemed at any time, whenever we want. The same is introduced in academic bank of credits also. Now, because in the higher education, the students have option to exit at the end of first year with certificate, second year with a diploma, third year with a degree program, and fourth year with a PG program. So in this, scheme of multiple exits options, a student can exit this year at the first year, earn credit, and after some years, after working or after doing certain things, he may think of joining for the second year. No, those credits he can redeem at that particular point. Not only that, first year he can study in Karnataka, second year he can go to some other country or even some other state, some other institution. So there he can redeem those particular points. So he can accumulate and redeem points as and when he requires. This is another important point. The student will not lose if he has, for example, now what happens if I take BA1 and if I am not able to continue in BA2, BA3, now that BA1 is gone forever. When I take admission, I have to take again for BA1 only. Okay, so now that particular point is not there. That particular defect is not there. That continues. So these are the cornerstones of the reforms in higher education that is contemplated in the national education policy. Now, this is the same thing. I will not repeat that. So these are the outcome. So with this, what the NEP expects? What are the outcomes expected? Now, outcomes, it can be divided into 5 types. One is in terms of teaching. In terms of teaching, the focus will be on learning, relearning, and lifelong learning. As teachers, we are supposed to continuously learn. So we need to be lifelong learners first, then make the students lifelong learners. That's the first outcome. Second outcome is the flexibility of the whole system. Unlike rigidity, which was there earlier, there will be flexibility in the whole system. Thirdly, there will be holistic and multidisciplinary education. Let me tell you, your BSc, BA, BCom, all will become very, very redundant now. So student will take one subject in arts, one subject from commerce, one subject from science, etc. So he will be given a generic degree that is being now thought of. It's not finalized, it is being thought of. He will be given a generic degree. So therefore, the silos that were there, the compartment that were there, now it is being broken. Then from mere users of knowledge, students were mere users of knowledge. Now they are being developed as creators of knowledge because of critical thinking, because of innovation ability, which we are going to imbibe into them. They will become now creators of knowledge. And lastly, but very importantly, from job seekers, they would now develop into job providers and job promoters, because we are giving them entrepreneurial skills. We are giving them skills to lead lives. So therefore, instead of waiting for a job to be available for them, waiting for hiring, now they will become the persons who will hire other people. So from job seekers to job providers, job promoters is another outcome which the NEP expects. Now in the policy documents for higher education, these 12 items are there. These 12 items are there. I'm not going to discuss all of them. I'll only touch upon which are more relevant for all of us. Okay, and this is the objective. I said 50% by 2035. Then quality, as far as, so again the same thing I have already discussed with you. For example, large multidisciplinary universities and colleges with at least one in every district, more multidisciplinary undergraduate education, faculty and institutional autonomy, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support. See, student support also is important. Counseling, remedial coaching, then providing of reading material, all those things, they come here. Then reaffirming integrity and of faculty and institutional leadership positions, establishment of National Research Foundation, governance of HEIs by high qualified independent boards. For example, in university, now you do not have syndicate. You will have a board of governors, and board of governors is empowered to appoint a vice chancellor. Now, vice chancellor will not be appointed by the central government or state government. It will be appointed by the board of governors of that particular university. So, and they will take into account the requirement of the university or the college and take decisions to run that. Then regulation by a single educator for all higher education, including professional education, that already I have told. Then increasing access, equity, and inclusion through measures including open schooling, online education, and ODL with equal recognition, etc. So the integration of technology is a very important component of NEP. And again, this I have already discussed. I will not repeat this, like setting up of multidisciplinary institutions, like 3 kinds of institutions, like phasing out of the system of affiliated colleges, then accredited system of accredited system of the higher education system, etc. And look at the last point. Last point is single stream HEIs will move towards becoming vibrant multidisciplinary institutions and HEI clusters. Now there will be no, as I mentioned earlier, no commerce college only, no arts college only, no science college only, no engineering college only. Everything has to come together as one multidisciplinary institution or as a cluster of such institutions. So that is what is being thought of. Then so similar also with the university. So university also has to have all the programs, right from undergraduate, graduate, PhD programs, and all the courses. And look at the second point. Now the present complex nomenclature like deemed to be university, affiliating technical university, unitary university will all go, and simple university will be there. So no different kinds of universities that is going to happen. And, this again I have discussed, I will not repeat that. What I'm interested is, I will just go to that particular slide. Yes, what are the changes that the NEP seeks? Now I have colored those respective aspects. What is the existing one and what the NEP contemplates. Now the existing system is system centric. Teacher is at the center of the whole system. So teacher, then curriculum, teaching, and assessment, everything is teacher centric. It is teacher centric. But now the NEP says that it will be learner centric. What the learner demands, what the learner expects, that we will have to deliver. And as far as curriculum is concerned, it was a top-down approach to framing of the curriculum. As I mentioned earlier, UGC used to give us framework, then we used to adapt it to our circumstances in the BOS and then give it to colleges. Now, no, the curriculum in the NEP will be a bottom-up approach, and it is more outcome-based. Outcome-based means what kind of skills the students will get. And an important change which the NEP has introduced is including Loka Vidya. Means if there are individuals here who are well versed in that particular skill, then they may be asked to come for framing of syllabus. For example, if there is a course on folklore literature, then you take a person who is expert in folklore in the local area. If you're preparing, if you're framing a syllabus, say on business management, then take a business manager in the local area and use his expertise. So Loka Vidya is being added in the NEP in terms of curriculum. And in terms of pedagogy, we know that chalk and talk was the most important or dominant method, with theory and practical separated. But now it is not so. It will be blended learning. It will be experiential learning with mandatory internship. So practical has to be part of your teaching approach, and you will be looking into blended approach. Blended means you are including both the technology enabled teaching. There's an online mode or whatever you call it, blended, and experiential learning. That means you are focusing more on experimental approach rather than simply classroom approach. And internship is now mandatory. So for example, if you design a course, if I, as an economics teacher, if I design a course on business economics, then I have to ensure that my students go for internship, and I have to provide for that internship opportunity for the students. So that now the focus is on what the student wants, and we need, that is the support that we can give to him. That is the kind of change. Then as far as assessment is concerned, assessment was based on rote learning, and we used to award marks for the year-end examinations. And if you introspect yourselves, ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಾವು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ವಿ, ಅದು ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ನಮಗೆ ಹುಡುತದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರೋಟ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್, and it was focused on awarding of marks. But ಈಗ ಹಂಗಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Now it will be based on continuous assessment, wherein we map the outcomes and measure the outcomes. So there are program outcomes as rows and course outcomes as columns. You will have to measure how much of the outcomes were attained by the students by offering different types of evaluation rubrics. It may be quizzes, it may be projects, it may be discussion, different forms of assessment pattern. So it will be based on measurement of each of the skills which you specify for your course. And now percentage will not be given, but grades will be given. And the next one is teacher evaluation was sporadic. We never bothered about evaluation of teachers. Only during the time of promotion, we used to take some APIs and then decide. But now teacher evaluation will be continuous. Take it from me, at the end of each course, your assessment will be done. How best you delivered, how best you assessed, how best you satisfied the outcomes, etc. It will be continuous process. And use of technology again was a sporadic. It was rare in the earlier system, but now it will be all pervasive in every aspect of the learning and teaching. Technology would be used. Then another important change is student was fixed to one university or one college. Now student is free to take any course. Please read. I'm emphasizing that word any. Student is free to take any course from anywhere at any time and in any mode. Any mode is distance, online, whatever it is. Okay, in any mode, without losing credits. I've talked about the academic bank of credits where he can earn, deposit, and redeem at his will. So student, say for example, will take a commerce from CSI college, science say from JSS college, and say sociology from Karnataka Arts College. He will not be tied to any institution. He can move from institution to institution, or he can even take online, he can take distance mode learning also. It is his freedom. So students are completely free. And similarly, teachers are also have autonomy. Earlier they did not have any autonomy, but now they have complete autonomy. You can design your own course. You can decide the pedagogy, how you are going to deliver that course, and you can frame your own evaluation criteria. Now you also have complete freedom in designing the course and all that. Then research was not there actually. It was simply there as an addendum, but it was of secondary importance. But now research component is embedded in the teaching program itself, with projects, with the dissertation, especially in the fifth year. If a student wants to do MA, masters, then you have to undergo rigorous research. That is what is embedded in the NEP. Okay. Then institutional affiliation was compulsory, but now in all colleges will be given autonomous status. Then, as I mentioned earlier, the fragmented education was there in silos and standalone institutions like Commerce College, Science College, BSc, BCom, BA, etc. Now, all these distinctions will go. A generic degree will be given. Maybe Bachelor of Liberal Arts will be given, and it will be and the institutions will be of multidisciplinary kind of institutions. That is the change we are going to see. Then, in the existing pattern, skill education was an appendix. It was a side thing. It was just like a pickle in our meals. But now skill education is embedded into the whole thing. You have to integrate skills into your curriculum only. Then there was no scope for innovations, whether for institution. Accreditation was for institution. Okay, accreditation for it was for the college, it was for the institution. Now under NEP, program and courses will be accredited. If you, as I said, if you design a course, you'll have to apply to say NAC and get your course accredited. And if your course is accredited, then demand for your course will be very, very heavy. Then workload was predetermined. Associate professor so much, assistant professor so much, professor so much, etc. was predetermined. But now it will be based on the demand for your course. Whatever course you have designed, the workload will be based on your course. It will be whether you deliver it offline, online, open, distance mode. It is up to you. But workload will depend on how many students opt for your course. Then earlier we considered private and foreign universities as a threat, but now under NEP, the foreign and private universities are considered as opportunities for raising the gross enrollment ratio and the quality of education. So I think these three slides, 1, 2, and 3, the comparison between existing and NEP, they summarize the whole situation of how the higher education will change. Okay, now this is also the same summary of what I said. So the student can pick teachers and timings, And as teachers, you can frame your own syllabus based on interest and needs of the students. You can design your degrees, again student centricity, then study through any mode, whether it is online, distance, you study through any mode. So you're, and moreover, you're focusing on experiential learning. And the learning was examination, and the examination will be on demand. You cannot say this is the examination time. When the student is ready, when he's ready to take examination, then only you have to conduct the assessment. And so what I meant to say is flexibility is built up in all the dimensions. That is the situation. Okay, so this is what I wanted to suggest, and I want to just draw your attention, because all of us are teachers in higher education. ಈ ಉನ್ನತ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಬಹಳ ದೀರ್ಘವಾಗಿ, ಬಹಳ ಆಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು. ಇರ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪೀಟರ್ ಡ್ರಕ್ಕರ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು. ಪೀಟರ್ ಡ್ರಕ್ಕರ್ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹೆಸರು ಕೇಳಿರ್ತೀರಿ. ಅವರೊಬ್ಬ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟೆಂಟು, ಬಹಳ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟು. ಅವರು 1997 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ 1997 ವಾಟ್ ಹಿ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್, ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟೀಸ್ won't survive. Higher education is in deep crisis. The college campus won't survive as a residential institution. Today's buildings are hopelessly unsuited and totally unneeded. See, Drucker in 1997 had said this. The physical campuses, when I say college, universities, physical campuses, they will be redundant, because now student can go anywhere, take any course in any mode and at any time. So what is the need for such huge buildings, huge campuses, etc.? Now the time has come to think about all these things. So how can we retain our identity? How can we make our self felt, our presence felt in the health dilemma? It is up to us teachers. What courses we prepare, how effectively we deliver, and how we make the student ready to lead a life of worthiness. That is what is more important now, not the big buildings, not the very huge names, etc., which count. So therefore, he had said in 1997, but now time has come that this prediction may come true under the framework of national education policy. This is just for your thinking. Please think about this carefully. As I said, now student need not take a course in Karnataka University alone. He can say, for example, take a course in biotechnology in Karnataka University, botany in Karnataka University, biotechnology in Agriculture University, and say a technology course in IIT. He can go to all these three institutions, not necessarily in Karnataka University. The demand is for courses, not for the institutions. So institutions' identity will be now phased away. This is the situation. Okay. Now in this context, how are we to go about? So ಈಗ ಇದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ಇದನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಾರೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು adapt in such a manner that we continue to sustain, we continue to survive. But illೊಂದು ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. This picture is of a bridge constructed across the river Chauteca in Honduras in 1998. ಅದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಿಕ್ಚರು. ಆ ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದಾಗ ಹೊಳೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ದಂಥ ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜು. ಬಟ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಅದೇ ವರ್ಷ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 75 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ ಮಳೆ ಬೀಳ್ತದೆ. 75 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ ಮಳೆ ಬಿದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲೋಲ ಕಲ್ಲೋಲಾಗಿ ಹೊಳೆ ತನ್ನ ದಿಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಬದಲಿಸಿಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಸಿ, ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್. ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ಗೇನು ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ನೋ ಯೂಸ್. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಸ್ಸು, ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟೀಸು ಅದೇ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬಂದವು. ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅವ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅದ, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹೆಸರು ಅದಾವು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವು ನಾವು ಈ ಬದಲಾಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮೈಗೂಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೊರಟಿದೀವ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಟು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್. ಹೌ ವಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್? ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಅಡ್ಯಾಪ್ಟ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ಲಿ, ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಮೀಟ್ ದ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಆವಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಈಗ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋರ್ಸಸ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಪೆಡಗಾಜಿನ ಹೇಗೆ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇದೇ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಡಾರ್ವಿನ್ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಸ್ ದಟ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ಸ್, ನಾಟ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆಂಟ್ ದಟ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ಸ್, but it is the one that is most adaptable to change. So change is happening. We have to adapt, and how we adapt is what is more important. Okay, so this is the message which I wanted to give. And only this is the last slide I have. Swami Vivekananda says, take risks in your life. If you win, you can lead. If you lose, you can guide. But let us not lose. Let us not lose. Let us plan to win. Let us plan to win. Let us aim to win. That should be our thing. We are the stakeholders of higher education system, and we need to give the inputs to the students to develop themselves into good human beings. Okay, that is what is the situation. And actually, this particular statement is also very, very relevant for all of us. The sea is common for all. Some take pearls, some take fishes, some come out with just wet legs. The world is so common to all. What we get is what we try for. So ಈ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ನಮಗೆ ಎದುರು ಆಗೋದು ಆಗ್ಲೇಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಈಗ ಎದುರು ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಎದುರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ, ನಾವು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನು ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಖ್ಯ. ಏನು ಬರೀ ಮೀನನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವ, ಬರೀ ಮುತ್ತು ಅಥವಾ ಮುತ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ತೀವ, ಅಥವಾ ಬರೀ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಇದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಕಲ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟದ್ದು. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ, ವೆರಿ ಅಲಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್. It is changing significantly. So what I would say is, the higher education has given us some scope to change, to think. How we change is up to all of us. So every one of us have to think. Because no, there is no other option but to accept it. And when we accept, we'll have to only think how we adapt by that. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕಾಲೇಜ್ದವರು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಪೆಡಗಾಜಿ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ 6% ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅಶ್ಯೂರ್ಡ್, ಅದು ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಕೊನೆಯ ಸಂದೇಶ ಇಷ್ಟೇ, ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಎವಿಟಬಲ್. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಅವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ವ್ಸ್ ಟು ಡೂ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗ, ಈ ಕಾಲೇಜು, ಈ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಇವಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಅಂತ ಮಹತ್ವ ಮುಂದೆ ಉಳಿಯಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮಹತ್ವ ಉಳಿಯೋದು ನಿಮಗೆ ನೀವು ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು equip the students with whatever skills that he learns. Okay, so this is, in fact, time short ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯನ ಕಾಂಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಹಳ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್. ಇದೇ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನ ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ತಿಮ್ಮೇಗೌಡರು, ಹೈಯರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ವೈಸ್ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್, 2 ತಾಸು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ನೌ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ 50 minutes that I am speaking. So I have tried to club it into the whole situation. So this is the ideas which I wanted to pass on. ನನ್ನ ಐಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, and I am open for comments and discussions. So I thank you, all of you, for very, very patient listening, and I am open for discussion. Sir, Payotic sir.
ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದಂತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಸ್.ಟಿ. ಬಾಲಕೋಟಿ ಸರ್ ಬಹಳ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕ ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹೊಸ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ನೀತಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ವಿವರವಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್ ನಿಮಗೆ.
ಸರ್ 1 second ಸರ್. ಬಾಲಕೋಟಿ ಸರ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಸರ್, some questions. ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಮಧು ಶ್ರೀ, she has asked, what are the challenges does teacher will face and how we are changing our solve to NEP?
In fact, changing to NEP itself is a major challenge, but we have to accept it. ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ now the degree doesn't matter. BSc, BA, BCom degree doesn't matter. As a teacher, what matters is what course I am going to deliver, what course I am going to frame, how I am going to deliver that, and how many students take that. So ನನ್ನ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ನಾನು ಏನು ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕದ್ದು. ಈಗ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಯಾರೋ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಂತಲ್ಲ, ನೀವೇ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನೀವೇ ಅದನ್ನ ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ನೀವೇ ಅದರ ಅಸೆಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್.
Okay,
I think I've answered.
Okay, one more question, sir. Dr. Shobha Nayak, she has asked,
okay,
what is the new initiative about the Indian languages, that is regional languages? How will be new agenda. Please feed us in detail, sir.
Okay. As far as languages are concerned, the need to say is the whole education can be in any of the languages that you prefer. Maybe based on the 16 languages that are in the constitution, you can take the higher education in any of the languages. Even in your mother tongue also, you can take. That is why technology is being developed in such a manner that translation becomes very easy. So that is done. And as far as the languages in degree education is concerned, now in the framework given by the Higher Education Council of Karnataka, the language is for only 2 semesters in the framework. But there have been protests and government is rethinking it. It may be extended to 4 semesters or even 6 semesters also. So as far as language is concerned, you can, the provision is to study in any of the language or to deliver the courses in any of the language. Not only studying, but even research can be done even in your own languages.
Makanda sir, is there any questions from your side?
Sir, may I ask, Balgodi sir, thank you
Yes.
very much for
Yes.
giving a nice presentation. I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
I'd like to clarification from your side. As
Yes,
far
sir.
as science subjects are concerned, it is okay. But multidisciplinary aspect, how it is possible in case of a BA and BCom? How can a BA and BCom student opt other subject when such a discipline is not available in that college?
That is what I said, sir. Henceforth, it is the responsibility of the institutions to begin all the subjects. That is one. Secondly, student need not take all the courses in your college only. He can go to other colleges for taking other courses whichever he wants.
Sir.
Other courses he wants. He will not be tied to your college. That's the thing. And as far as your question regarding how to start multidisciplinary courses, now there are possibilities. And in fact, the NCERT has come out with certain list of courses. And if you look at the IGNOU website also, if you go to the certificate courses section, you will find so many list of the courses which are interdisciplinary and which are skill oriented. So those are the courses which you can start. The central point is our subject, but again it is linked to other disciplines. That is what we can adopt.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Dr. Belagati,
Yes,
is there
sir.
any questions from your side?
sir, one more question. ಈ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ ಇಯರ್ 2021-22 ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗಾಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಾಗಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲವಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಸೌಕರ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಒದಗಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್, ಇದು ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ರಿಹೆನ್ಷನ್ ನಿಜ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಪ್ರಿಹೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಪರ್ಸನಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳುದು, ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಯೆಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್. There should have been some time, but Sarkara is bent upon starting the program this year only. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೋ ತಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕತ್ತಾರ ಅವರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೈಯರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಕಮಿಟೀಸ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ. ನೋಡು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ 30 ಜೂನ್ ಒಳಗ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೂ ಹೇಳ್ಯಾರ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಏನು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೇಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ಬಂದದ, ಇದು ಆಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು.
Last question.
Yes. One second. ಮಕಾಂದ ಸರ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಂತ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ
ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್.
ಈಗ
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ನಾಟ್ ಆಡಿಬಲ್. Not audible. Not audible.
ಸರ್ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಒಂದು ಡೌಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್.
Shall I ask a question, sir, please?
ಸರ್
the state level committee constitute ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. Whether they are discussing the state level informal syllabus or other institutions of the university.
ಆಡಿಯೋ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಕಾನ್ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ.
University wise ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಸರ್ ಈಗ
ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ವೈಸ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೇವಿ. ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸೈನ್ಡ್ ಅ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಶಾಪ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಹಂಗೆ ನೀವು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಏನ್ ಈಗ ಮೇಜರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಮೈನರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ನಾಟ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ವೈಸ್. ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವೆರಿ ಲೆಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಫಿರೆನ್ಸ್ henceforth.
ಕೊಡ್ವಿ ಸರ್, ಕೊಡ್ವಿ ಸರ್.
ಒಂದ ನಿಮಿಷ
ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಕೊಳವಿ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಸರ್, KL ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಗದಗ.
ಕೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಈಗ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಪ್ರೇ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಮಿಟಿ ನೇಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ನೇಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಕಾಮನ್ ಟು
ಸರ್ ಒನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲದು, ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಜರ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಮೈನರ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ವೊಕೇಶನಲ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ, ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ, ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ನೀವೇ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಮೇಜರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಜರ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಮೈನರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ನೀವು ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವ್ರು ಬರೀ ಟೈಟ್ಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಮೊದಲು ನಾನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಶಶಿಧರ್ ಸರ್ ಇದಕ್ಕ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ, ಅವರ NAP ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಗೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿತ್ತು, ಪ್ರಾದೇಶಿಕ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ.
ಅದೇ ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಮ್ಮ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯಾವ ಸರ್ ತಮ್ದು?
ನಾನ್ ಸೋಶಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಸರ್.
ಸೋಶಿಯಾಲಜಿ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ರಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವ ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್. ಅದನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ, ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್.
ಸರ್ ಗುಡೇದಗುಡ್ ಸರ್ ಅದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
Sir, in
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
do we have a uniform syllabus throughout the state, or each university will have a separate syllabus for the subject?
ಸರ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಮಾಡೋರು ನೀವೇ. ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಂಪವರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ದ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅವರು ಅಕೌಂಟೆನ್ಸಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನೀವೇ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗಿವ್ ದ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್. ಸರ್ ಶಿವಗಪ್ಪ ME, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ವಿತ್ vote of thanks.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಸರ್
ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಂಜನ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟರ್. ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್
ಈಗ
ಹಾ
ಸರ್, ಈಗ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕ ಬಂದ ಒಂದು ವಿನಂತಿ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟರ್ಸ್, ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿಸಿ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್
ಸರ್ ಶಿವಗಪ್ಪ ಸರ್, ನಿಮ್ದು ಇದು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಬಲ್ ಚಾಲೂ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ನಿಮ್ದು. ಒಂದು ಮೂಟ್
ಸರ್ ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ. ಅಂದಾನ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟರ್ ಸರ್ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ತಮ್ಮ ವೋಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತ ನಾನು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
Sir, one second. So before vote of thanks, I want to thank the Karnataka University College Teachers Association and our college, especially Professor ME, who have made this possible. And ignite you. I'm not going to complete information. I've given you hardly 1% of what is in NEP. So it is more forward. So I thank you very much and wish you all the best. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, please.
ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ST ನೀಡಿದಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಕಿರಣದ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವಾಗಿತ್ತು. ನಾನು ಈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷನಾಗಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ನಾನು 3-4 ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಕಿರಣಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಹಮ್ಮಿಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಇವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ನನ್ನ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನ ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನ ತಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ ಎಂದು ನನ್ನ ಭಾವನೆ ಇಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಮೊದಲೇ ಸೆಮಿನಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಕಿರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಯಶಸ್ವಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಬಾಲ್ಕೋಟ್ ಸರ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಸಂಘಟನೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಸಂಘಟನೆಯ ಸದಸ್ಯರ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಪ್ರಾಚಾರ್ಯರ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಪಾಲುದಾರರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್.
Thank you, sir.
ಈಗ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ SV ಅಂದಾನ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟರ್ ಸರ್ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ತಮ್ಮ ವಂದನಾರ್ಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ವಿನಂತಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂದಾನು ಸರ್. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅಂದಾನ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಸರ್ ಮೈಕ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅಂದಾನ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಸರ್ ಮೈಕ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅಂದಾನ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಸರ್ ಮೈಕ್ ಓಪನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಕಿರಣದ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಬಾಗಲಕೋಟೆ ಅವರನ್ನ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರ ಸಂಘ ಹಾಗೂ ಕಲ್ಮೇಶ್ವರ ಪದವಿ ಮಹಾವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದಂತಹ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಕವಿಕಾಸಿ ಸಂಘದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬೆಳವಟಿಗೆ ಅವರನ್ನ, ಜಂಟಿ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಯಾದ SR ಎಮ್ಮೆ ಅವರನ್ನ, ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ RS ಪಾಟೀಲ್ ರವರನ್ನ, ಸಂಯೋಜನಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ PS ಕಣವಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ SV ಸಜ್ಜನರ್ ಹಾಗೂ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಂಡಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹಾವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿ ವರ್ಗದವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಲ್ಮೇಶ್ವರ ಪದವಿ ಮಹಾವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಹಾಗೂ ಕವಿಕಾಸಿ ಸಂಘ ಧಾರವಾಡ ಇವರ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದಂತಹ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ವಿನಂತಿ,
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ತಿಂದು ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು.
ಹಲೋ
ಸಜ್ಜನ್ ಸರ್ ಮಾತಾಡಿ.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದವರಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಶೇಷ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ KLE ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಮರ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಗದಗ್ ಇವರು ಕೊಳವಿ ಸರ್ ಮತ್ತು ತಿರ್ಲಾಪುರ್ ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಠಲ್ ಸರ್ ದೊಡ್ಡಮನಿ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಸಹಕಾರದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿವಸ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಯಶಸ್ವಿ ಆಗಲು ಕಾರಣ. ಅವರ ಸಹಕಾರ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ತೃಪ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಈ ಮಹಾವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯಕ್ಕೆ, ಪ್ರಾಚಾರ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿವರಿಗೆ ಕುಕ್ಟಾ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಮತ್ತು ಶ್ರೀ ಕಲ್ಮೇಶ್ವರ ಮಹಾವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಹೊಳೆಯಾನೂರು ವತಿಯಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ಹೃದಯ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಹಿತ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯವಾಯಿತು. ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಲಿಂಕ್
Congratulations.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Congratulations. For advance. Thank you.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಈ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಇಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ಸಜ್ಜನರ್ ಸರ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸಜ್ಜನರ್ ಸರ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ
ಸರ್. ಇಮೇಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್ ಸರ್, ಫೈನ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Sir, congratulations.
Belwatiki sir, congratulations.
Sir, thank you boss. Thank you sir.
ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂಘಟನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Thank you very much.
Thank you boss.
ಸರ್.